Hey everyone, it's Mark from MSD Defense. Today's video is going to be the removing of the SIG X Macro striker assembly. I started taking it apart during my normal cleaning after a couple thousand rounds when I saw how much gunk was actually getting into where the striker assembly sits. The striker assembly should be dry and clean. You shouldn't use regular oil on it. The best thing that I have found is to use Remington dry lube, which I'll go over. So I'm going to take this down to the bare bones of taking it apart, going step by step, pointing out some things to look for on the way that I've learned. Some of it may be new if you're not used to it. Some stuff might be old, but hopefully it is helpful. I think it's important to do, especially once you discover how much crap basically gets in where the striker assembly is. So we're going to go ahead and get to it. Hopefully it's helpful and get it apart. Okay, so as you can see, I've already got my slide off, my SIG. I've put my cover, which I've had in other videos, over my Holosun. That's just so I don't damage it in any way when I'm moving things around. You can take the striker assembly out with the barrel and recoil spring in place, but I take everything out because I don't like anything in my way. This is my spare striker assembly sitting here. Okay, the striker assembly sits in the slide right here. Right, so what you need to do to take it out is you've got your slide cap or back plate on the back. This is going to have to slide off, but in order to do that, you've got to move the striker assembly a little bit forward. This piece here, which you can see sticks out at an angle, and again, this is just plastic. There are other types of striker assemblies. I know there's a titanium one. I don't know if the body of it is titanium or not. I don't have one. But this is plastic, and you can see I could squeeze it. Okay, so what you're gonna do is this piece that sticks out here is this piece sitting right there at the end of my Q-tip, and I will try to see if I can get you a better view of it. It's kind of hard because it's black, but there you go. So it's right here. So what you need to do is you're going to need to press it over this way and down a little. To make it easier to move, I push down on the striker safety lock, which is right here, and you see it's spring loaded, to move it down out of the way so that I could get the slide cap or back plate off. I have a little punch. If you want to use that to push it down, you can use your finger, whatever works for you. Everybody does it a little differently. Some ways are easier than others. Sometimes it goes real smooth. I get it off and back on no problem. Sometimes it fights against me, but there you have that. So we'll do that. One thing I do want to point out is that underneath your striker safety lock, you have a spring, and that spring is really small. So what it's good to have whenever you're doing this, and again, I take my innards out sometimes, so I remove pins, I remove the trigger and all the springs to get really deep cleaning, depending how much I've shot. So I like to use magnetic trays or magnetic bowls. So I've got a little magnetic tray here. I also have a little magnetic bowl. You can get these on Amazon. That's where I got these. I have a larger one. This is one I usually use for nuts and bolts when I was doing stuff in the garages from Harbor Freight's like $6. And again, you can get these. These are great to have because you know that when you drop a small spring, especially if you're in your garage or out of the range doing something, you're probably never going to find the spring again, just the way it is. So it's always good to have one. I also use these for non-metallic parts like my slide cap, because anything small, I don't want to knock it off the table. I also have a couple armorer's blocks like this one. These two sections are magnetic, but they're black, so I'll usually not use these as much unless it's a larger part that'll stick out or something silver, because a lot of the pins that I take out, even if they're not metallic, they're black, and I want to be able to see them so I don't knock anything around. That's why I like the silver or white. Personal preference. But do have something, and just be aware that that spring, it's small, and you'll see that when I take it apart. Okay, so what we need to do, like I said, we're going to have to move that one piece over and down. I like to use a nylon pick. It doesn't scratch anything up or damage anything. And it is, like I said, it can be kind of a pain. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in the side and try to push it over. Try to get you a good photo here. I'm not best with the camera, so work with me on this. Well, let's see. Get as much light in here as we can. Okay, so here's the piece I'm talking about, and that again is this piece. You can kind of see right here sticking out. And I'm gonna move it so it's sitting. I'm gonna move it in and then try to press it down a little bit. So I'll bring it over, and then I'll use my nylon pick to kind of push it down. Right? You can just stick it right in. It's not going to damage anything. You can even press down, like I said, on your safety if you want to get the striker down a little more. It's not that critical because this part of the striker is actually, like I said, this part, so it's kind of moving a little. So once I have it down like that, I'll stand it up so I can put pressure on it. And now I'll start to slide my slide cap off, and I'll try to get this so you can see it a little better. Okay, and you can see it's starting to come off. I don't really have nails, so you can use a small screwdriver if you want. Just don't scratch it up unless you like it scratched. But once I get it started, okay, you can see I've started it, and you can see it's kind of sticking down a little. So it is coming off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to just put my thumb over here to keep pressure down on the striker assembly, and I'm going to remove my slide cap. And I've worked that off. And I'm going to put that, as I said, even though this is not metallic, I'll put it in my little bowl anyway because I don't want to lose it. And my luck is I'll knock it off the table, it'll fly across the room, and I won't see it. Now you can see I could take my finger off. This isn't going to fly out on its own. You just need to put pressure down on it so that you can get the slide cap off. Okay, now I've got it apart. The thing is, you could pull the striker assembly out, but that will cause your safety to pop out, and that, again, that little spring will come out. So to take it out so that it doesn't go flying anywhere, just press down on the safety, and there you go. Okay, so now that I've got the striker out, I'm going to go ahead and remove the safety. Again, there's a spring in there. When you remove, just a reminder, you remove the striker, just press down on it, but don't let it go. It'll pop out. It's not some huge spring, not a recoil spring, but it could pop out, and again, if you're unlucky, it rolls somewhere and you don't find it. So once you do that, you can just kind of tilt it over onto your workbench and work it out. Okay, so this is your safety itself. You can see how small it is, so that goes in my magnetic tray. And then you can see right here, here's the spring. And you could just tilt it out if you want. I have a little pair of tweezers, so I usually just remove it, and it goes in my magnetic tray. So they're all my little parts, right? The only thing that's moving around is my slide cap, because it's not magnetic. And I'm done. So everything's apart. You clean it just like you normally would, right? You get some solvent. You want to put some solvent in here, get it all cleaned up from the back, and you'll feel a little like edge in here, and you want to get past, clean that, and then you want to get all the way forward to where the hole is, where the striker assembly comes out. And so you want to make sure you get all that. Don't forget to get down in where the safety is, because that gets dirty as well, and you'll see there's like a little groove in there. You want to get all that. Get it all cleaned up. As far as the striker assembly itself, you don't really need to take it apart. I rarely do, because I'm able to just wipe it all down, clean it. If you want to get in between where the springs are, a good thing to use, like I've done before, I use pipe cleaner, stick it in there and rotate it around, you can get it clean. You can compress it all the way back and put a Q-tip in there and get it clean. If you want to take it apart, you want to remove the spring, You just need to hold it down. You need to pull the spring down away from this little cap piece here that's actually holding it, and then you just remove it. I'll do a video on that as well when I get a chance. You can use an armorer's block again, like I said, to hold it in place if you want. That helps a little, whatever you want to do. But just clean it up, and remember that the striker assembly and inside the slide where it goes is all supposed to be clean and dry. So what I use now a lot on a lot of my springs, just so they don't get gunked up from regular oil, is I'll use dry lube. There's plenty of dry lubes out there. I use right now Remington dry lube is the one I use the most. I also have Hoppy's dry lube. I mean, there's dozens of them out there. Get some dry lube, spray it on the spring area, right where the spring is, and what it'll do is it'll just give it a nice little coat, but it won't be wet, so that powder and any debris isn't going to get all gunked up like it normally would with standard oil. I also use my pipe cleaners. I'll run those through the front where the hole is and pull them through, because you will get buildup in there that your Q-tip won't get to, and that can cause problems obviously as well, so you want to do that. Okay, now we're ready to reassemble, and that's about as fun as taking it apart. So what we're going to do is we need to put the safety in first. And if you could see, I don't know if you could see well, I'll try to get a good, again, you can see the part, but you can see how small that spring is. Okay, on your safety itself, there's a groove, that's where the spring sits. And when you put it together, the spring is going to be along the side. Okay, not facing inward, it's going to be facing outward. And you'll see, I mean, you can't see it here because it's so dark, but there's like a little spot for it to sit. So you could do it a number of ways. Sometimes I'll just put it in, I'll put the spring in first in place, make sure it's kind of in place there. And then I could take my safety, and again, the groove is going to go to the outside, and obviously the higher part, we've got this little piece sticking out, is going to go up. The flat side is going to go down. Okay? And so you want to kind of tilt it. It's easier for me anyway. And if I could work it in, if it cooperates. I don't think it, oh, there you go. And it's in. Now I know it's in because you could see it's in place, and be careful, it'll pop out, but it's in place and it's springy. Okay, if the spring misaligns, this will just stay in place. It won't be springy up and down. Okay? The next thing you want to do is reinsert your striker assembly. Okay, so to do that, you're going to want to push down on the safety, which again, you could use a punch, screwdriver, your finger, whatever you want. You want to push down on the safety is the easiest way, and that'll get your striker assembly past it. And remember, the little metal tab, if you will, is going to stick up, which it won't fit the other way anyway. And you want to push it until it's past. Okay, now you're in. Right, this is kind of where we ended up taking it apart, and you can see it's in there, and it's locked in place because obviously the safety is there, and you're not shooting. So now what you got to do again would kind of do the same thing. You want to get the striker assembly forward enough that you can get the slide cap on. So the easiest way to get it that far forward is you want to press the safety down, and then you want to bring the whole piece forward like you did before, so it's down forward all the way. So I'll stand it up, bring it down, okay, and now I've got it down as forward as I can get it. You see I got to push it down a little. It's hard to see, but push it down as much as I can. And then I take my back plate, I'm going to line the slots up, press it in, and you can see it's already going, and then you just press it in. Click, and I'm done. I know it's hard to see because I've got to use my hands over it, But when once you get it in, again, just all you have to do is press that piece over. Okay, so you're pushing it in, right? Bringing it in, you've got it forward. Press the safety down, and then it'll go forward enough. And again, you're going to bring it over and down, and you could just hold it by the back. Now, again, you could use a screwdriver, a punch, whatever it is, but you've got to hold it down enough so that the slots on your slide cap will line up, and then as you saw, I just pushed it in place. Okay, now I'm done. That's it. It seems harder than it probably is, but I wanted to try to explain everything as we went, just in case. The big thing I always try to remember is that I don't want that spring to go anywhere. And again, once you get the slide cap off, it's not going to fly out by itself. You can pull it out without pushing the safety down, but that will pop the safety out and the spring. So that's why you want to press down on the safety, slide it out like I did, and then just keep your finger over it because now it's kind of loose, and then you could just tip it to get it out. You could use tweezers to pull it out, whatever you want to do. And the best thing to have, again, is some sort of magnetic tray, okay? There are other ways you could do this as far as manipulating it, doing it just sitting here at the bench. Obviously, I just stood it up, moved it down, moved it sideways, and so forth. If you want to kind of have both hands free, you could put it into a vise, and you can get some of those nylon pieces which go into the vise so you don't scratch or damage anything. And I'll move over to that here shortly, and I'll just show you what I've got, because sometimes it's easier to have it steady. Now I've got both hands free. I don't really have to hold it. It'll just be sitting, and I can use my hands for that. But I've done it so many times, it's almost easier for me just to sit here and do it. But now you're done. Everything's good to go. Reassemble like you normally would, and have fun at the range. Okay, so if you want to use a vise as an example, this is the vise I have on my workbench. So I've got a couple of these hard plastic pieces. They're magnetic, so they'll stick to the vise. This won't damage my firearm or scratch it in any way. I've got these, and I've got these other ones. They might have come in a set that looks kind of cool, but they work the same. You can just put them on there, and then put your firearm in however you want to set it up. Taking off the striker assembly, obviously this area here I need, so I could stand it up, crank it down. Doesn't have to be super tight. And then you crank it at an angle, whatever you want to do. And now the advantage to this obviously is that my hands are free, right? I've got two hands free. I'm not having to hold anything in place while I manipulate it. So now I could just push it. I could push it and stuff. Again, easy way to do it. Just be cognizant if you're doing something different. Like I have the sight, so I'm not going to put it up near the sight because I don't want to damage it. I'm not cranking it down crazy because this thing, doesn't have to be stormproof or anything. It just has to hold in place, and this is an easy way to do it as well. But again, I've done it so many times. I just now do it sitting at the bench most of the time, but you can see it can be uncooperative. So this is another option you have. And again, these things, there's a million different, designs and types and colors. And I got these on Amazon, I believe. So, and they're not really expensive, but this is another good thing to have. Even working with my rifle or a shotgun or any of my handguns, if I need to have it set in place where I can have both hands free just to work on it, or to adjust something, whatever it is, these are great to have, so I do use them. Hey everyone, thanks for watching today's video. I hope it was helpful and you got some good information from it. Visit msddefense.com for a list of courses we offer, as well as other services we provide. As always, be safe out there, keep training, and I'll see you out at the range.